Well, hello there, everybody. How are you doing today? I myself, I'm doing well, doing well. It's been quite the morning. Just had a few things go extraordinarily wrong. But, that's called life. That is called life. Just, what you thirsty about? What you thirsty? You thirsty in the I need libation for the buds of my tongue? Oh, you're drinking Sprite? No, okay. Well, you stopped me before I went into something truly inappropriate. How are you doing today, Paula? Has it been a good morning for you? No. Yes, no. Oh, you're good? You're happy? Okay. All right. Well, I mean, for you, that's rare. So I will take it as a sign of things turning for the better. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. We'll start this off. This will be the change. This is where our whole dynamic changes and beautiful things can happen. Beautiful things can happen. So, uh, I guess we'll go ahead and get on with what I wanted to show. I'm gonna move a little backwards in this one just to keep Paula interested because I know if I start talking about things she's too young to understand, she'll leave me. She'll leave me all alone. I'm not alone. There's actually quite a few people. Oh my God, that is live, and you are typing words, young lady. Um, so basically, let's go ahead and start off with this new trailer for the Netflix movie coming out called In the Shadow of the Moon. Now, I was just made aware of this movie, and everyone knows I'm a huge Netflix enthusiast, and I'm also a huge time travel movie enthusiast. I believe the last show we had before it was called the Audible Brunch podcast, which, you know, I just came up with that like right before we went live. So I hope it's a catchy enough title for everybody. But I decided last week that I was going to start podcasting every day around lunchtime. That's Eastern Standard Time. So, 12 here. And just get something out there every day where I'm just just basically stay active, make it so it's more than just two podcasts, and make it more accessible to people while they're at work on their lunch break. So, yeah, like I said, we're going to start with my affinity for time travel and Netflix movies, even though most of them have horrible endings. If you haven't seen there are a few, though, that are actually way better than people give credit for. And as the aficionado of what's good and what's not, I'll go ahead and put in my 2 cents. But basically, there was that movie they put out recently called I Am Mother. And that movie, it doesn't have that big of a twist, but it was so subtle that a lot of people didn't even catch it. So I would say go watch that movie because it is extremely good. It is extremely good. Another movie that I thought it was just good. It wasn't like great. I'm not trying to say it deserves Oscars or anything, but the movie Extinction. I actually really like that movie. It was just an entertaining fare. And a lot of people don't understand that, like, when they're being harsh critics of movies, a lot of times it's just, whether or not the movie entertains you, whether or not you put it on, you eat some popcorn, or you're just laying in bed sipping some water or some gin and juice, and you just want to sit back and have a good time and enjoy yourself. Everything doesn't have to be made for Oscar consideration. But as a person who calls it down the line, Netflix has had a problem with their movies ending well. It always feels like you get to the last 10 minutes of the movie and you're just like, whoa, they are wrapping this up really quickly. I don't know how I feel about this. But you're left feeling ways. But there are movies that don't do that on Netflix. So I Am Mother is one of them, and what was it? The movie with Numi Rapace. What was it? What happened to? Was it What Happened to Monday? Or is it Wednesday? No, I think it's Monday. That's a movie that I still need to watch. That I was so pumped for it, and for some reason it just got lost in the shuffle. As a matter of fact, I might do that today after the podcast. I might go ahead and just do that, because that was one where I heard it. It depends on how you take it. No, thank you, Paula, for the confirmation. But yeah, if you haven't seen that movie, I Am Mother, you should really watch that movie, because that movie is real good. Way better. Like, nothing ever gets like touted unless it's like Bird Box. But like, that movie, I Am Mother, is a solid sci-fi film that if you're a fan of sci-fi, you should be watching. I mean, it's really good. So anyway, like I said, In the Shadow of the Moon, this is a new movie coming out on Netflix soon, and it has, what's his name, Boyd Holbrook. He was the dude basically playing the antagonist in Logan, other Logan. Anyway, I've liked what I've seen him in. He reminds me of, what's his name, Joel Kinnaman. But I like it because they're not trying to push him into being a superstar as fast as Joel Kinnaman. And I feel like they're just throwing Joel in things that, honestly, he should not be attached to. And it's really having that whole Taylor Kitsch effect, where like they keep putting him in stuff, and he's like Taylor Kitsch me, and they tried putting him in everything from John Carter of Mars and all that stuff to, the Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine as Gambit. They just tried to shove him out there and keep shoving him out there so that people would basically, try to make him a star. And I get that, but sometimes that's just not where you belong at the time. So I like the path they're taking with this guy. He's just in the background of a lot of things, and he's doing some really solid stuff. So anyway, well, instead of talking your ear off, I'm going to go ahead and get to the trailer. And y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm going to shut up. Here we go.
It's a normal, boring shift. Too much, Dad?
It's like a puncture wound. Boys across town just caught 2 more bodies. Said both had some kind of mark on their neck. We had 3 random victims with times of death and minutes apart. Bodies are miles apart. How's that work?
Suspect heading west across Liberty.
Hello, Thomas.
What did you say?
Is this where it happens?
Today marks the 9-year anniversary of the Market Street murders and the still unidentified suspect.
Detective Lockhart, yes, hello. What do you mean it's happening again?
You guys gotta see this.
Philly PD. You seen this woman?
Nice to see you again.
She gets torn apart by a train, and 9 years later, she's back.
She is priority number 1 for all law enforcement agencies.
You have to stop chasing me. I'm doing all this for a reason.
We're all going forward, but her. She's going backward.
You have no idea what's coming. If you kill me now, the world as you know it will end.
So I'm pumped. I don't know what anybody else thought, but that trailer feels right. That feels like I could sit back with a nice cold beverage and just truly enjoy myself on that with this movie. I kind of can't wait for it to come out. Apparently, let me see here. Let me see if they actually continue to a release date here. Let's see, where are we going? There we go. There we go. September 27th. So we're not even far away from that. Good 10 days. Yulumi, what's going up? What's going on, my guy? Yeah, we go way back, way back. Even before he was Yulumi, because I feel like I've been. If you've seen me in the background of your lurking in your page while you're streaming, I've been sitting back trying to figure out how you say this name. Like, I feel like it's like you love me, so it's like you love me, but I am not sure if that's Lumi. It's Lumi. You Lumi. Okay. Like, yo. So, yeah, I've been sitting back trying to decipher that for quite some time, just in the background while you were streaming. And so, yeah, thanks for the, I'm just going to call you. So, yeah, anyway, this movie, In the Shadow of the Moon, coming out on Netflix, I'm really pumped for it. I think it'll be a nice addition to the catalog. As always, there's tons of things on Netflix. People always complain about how there's nothing to watch, but, it's honestly just because they don't, really and I know this is going to sound really, really, underhanded, but I don't think a lot of people really like movies, not in a way that one who would have Netflix as a service would truly like it. For instance, when people say there's nothing to watch on Netflix, I usually go and I rattle off a few things, just like, have you seen blah? Have you seen blah? Have you seen blah? And people are like, no, I haven't seen those. I'm like, well, do you like said genre? Do you like stories about this? And what it comes down to is what's really going on is that people honestly just don't have the bravery, I guess. They like the bravery to actually just click on something that doesn't have like a Brad Pitt in it. Like, they have to be told like each individual thing to watch. And I think my normal co-host on the Monday night podcast said that, people are afraid of wasting their time. Well, I mean, I feel like people need to not be so afraid of that, only because, we all do it. We all turn on Netflix, start looking at the queue, and we might add like 15 things to our queue, but we end up just not watching anything. Like, we'll go back to a normal, oh, well, I'm a little tired, so I guess I'll go back and watch, this random thing that I already know I like. But, if you have something like Netflix, it's not like you're wasting money. Like, just click on something that read what the movie's about, and there's a show or a TV show or a movie about everything you could possibly think of. And on Netflix, God knows you probably, after they cannibalize, like, the only thing wrong with Netflix is the fact that a lot of times they don't actually market some of the stuff that comes out, so you don't necessarily know what's in front of you. But yeah, there are tons of things on Netflix that people would love because they love lesser versions of them on normal TV. That's bottom line. But anyway, In the Shadow of the Moon looks great. It looks like something I could truly, truly get into, stay into, and love. What I wanted to go into next was the fact that they have casted the next Mortal Kombat movie. And there have only been two passable things done, movie or television show wise, of like Mortal Kombat as an IP other than a game, branching out into other mediums. And so what we're looking at here is we have this dude, Ludi Lin, which if you saw the most recent Power Rangers, he was in that movie. I honestly had quite a few problems with Power Rangers, but then again, I'm not the intended audience. Therefore, F what I think about Power Rangers. I love the old show. I mean, I was a huge fan of the old show when I was like the first season of Power Rangers when it was coming up. And I'm actually friends with one of the cats who's been on Kamen Riders, which is another Power Rangers-esque show that's, kind of started it all in Japan. And shout out to Hikari. But what we're looking at here, because I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about this dude. Apparently he was in something recently that I need to check out, but I'll get into that later. So what you're looking at, the first guy, that's Ludi Lin, and he's going to be playing Liu Kang. He has a good look for it. I like just visualizing, just seeing him. Oh yeah, that's right. He was in one of the new episodes of Black Mirror. Apparently, he has some pretty slick martial arts styles. So yeah, there we go. That's less training to not look like a fool while doing fighting maneuvers. I mean, I'm all for it. That's cool. So we have him. Then we have Tadanobu Asano, which is the next Asian guy over. And you might recognize that garb because he was in Thor Ragnarok. I really liked his look in Thor Ragnarok, and therefore I feel like I'm going to like it in Mortal Kombat. So apparently, he's going to be playing Raiden. That works for me. That really does work for me. Then we have Mr. Mikad Brooks, which if you watch Supergirl on the CW, he plays Jimmy Olsen. Yes, he's black, and he plays Jimmy Olsen. Let's get over it. And he's playing Jax, which, being that he plays the Guardian on Supergirl, it feels right. Like, I have no complaints. As I always tell people, I usually wait until I see your first trailer or first real piece of information to kind of give a prognosis of what I feel like the production's going to be. And as I said last night, I'm batting 1,000. I don't know. I have a way I look at things, and just from the tiniest detail, I can tell whether or not your decisions are on point and whether you're going to provide good things for people. That's just how I'll break it down. But him, being that he plays Guardian on Supergirl, Jax feels like a good fit. And then there's Cece Stringer, who apparently is just a newcomer to, I guess, acting as a whole. I don't really know a lot about her, but she's playing Melina. I'm fine with it. That works. I mean, I know that even though she, looks like a young, beautiful, healthy, attractive woman over here on the side, if you're familiar with Melina, they gonna make her ugly. They gonna make her mouth do things that with spikes and shit that I don't know. Melina's just always seemed like somebody got mad at their mom when they were growing up, and they were like, "Well, mom, I'm gonna put you in this video game, and they're gonna see how big of a bitch you are." And it's like that's what I've always felt Melina was. Is just something about her seems a little too rough, like a little too on the point. Like you can be evil and not have your the bottom half of your face be like a death machine. I don't know. Either way. So that's what we have so far. They have announced a few more people as of a few minutes ago, being that the production has fully started. And we'll see. We'll see where they go with Mortal Kombat. I do know James Wan, who from horror movie fame. He also did Aquaman, which y'all know how I feel about Aquaman. I despised Aquaman. But I do like his vision. I do like the fact that he's so pliable between different IPs. Like he also did some of the Fast and Furious franchise. One of them I really liked. Is one of the best of that series of movies. So I'm willing to see. Like this will be action movies / going into that horror element that James Wan came from, and that feels right. That seems like it would be a perfect marriage, as they call it. So other things. We were talking about time travel movies, and I wanted to revisit it just because, because we were talking about In the Shadow of the Moon earlier, and other great time travel movies that have been on Netflix, but I don't think they're on Netflix still. I would have to check because they come and go, as we all know, with all streaming services. By the time you get around to some of the stuff you want to watch, you're like, it's not here anymore. And I had brought them up, I think, last week during an unofficial episode of this podcast. But if you haven't seen the movie Primer, Primer, Primer. It's an indie film dealing with time travel in a very, very interesting way. I would say just a testament of indie filmmaking and what you can do with lower budgets. Now that I'm saying that, I guess it's time to point out the little thing that you see above my head called Short Film, A Good Place to Die, which is a short film that I'm currently actually putting together and that I'm hoping to fund and get made sometime around the beginning of the year. We've had a bunch of stalls, mostly due to people flaking out and leaving. We have a bunch of people who are still extremely interested, actors and all, that want to be a part of this project. Find it really interesting, and I'm humbled by their interest, honestly. But we're raising money. Just spread the word. Anything is appreciated. Anything, even if it's just a follow or a subscribe. Because anything I get from this channel at this point is going to go towards making that film. So anyway, back to the point. Another great time travel movie is a movie called Time Crimes. It's a foreign film, but it is also just a brilliant showcase of independent filmmaking and what you can do when your story matches your budget. And that's something that's really important for those that don't know. Like, I remember the old days of Netflix, and I do mean the old days, where they were the Wild West. They would let anything be on Netflix. Things shot on a handheld camera that had no type of professionalism to them at all. Like, just to be open and honest, like, if I were in a position during that time, I probably would have just shot whatever to get on Netflix. But Netflix has upped their game since then. That's a good and bad thing. But they're still open to giving people a shot, which is something I must credit all streaming services, even Amazon and Hulu. Hulu in the beginning, when they were making their own original content and nobody had heard of it. Shout out to Booth at the End. If you've never seen that, it's amazing. And I think Hulu even got rid of the show after they canceled it. And now I think you can get it on Amazon. Like episodically. I don't know how the fuck that worked, but okay. That show is one of the greatest shows ever made. Hands down. And I pray for basically a third season. Because if you haven't, there's no show like it. So if you have the opportunity to see Booth at the End, go watch that show. It is crazy good. Let me see. Yeah, so Primer, Time Crimes. There's one that's in my head that I just lost track of. But yeah, if you know any good time travel movies, feel free to list them in chat, because there are a ton of good ones, but those are ones that really stood out because of their budget, as well as the idea that they pulled off with the budget by not trying to do too much. I'm sure we've all seen those videos of people trying to make sci-fi movies. And by sci-fi, I mean sci-fi on a ship or on an alien planet, but they don't have the budget to pull that off. So it just comes off looking extremely corny, and it just brings down the whole production quality, everything. That's like the fear you should have if you're an independent filmmaker, is fitting the idea to the budget, I think. What do I know? Nothing. But that's what I feel like. Like, nothing will turn me off faster than when, like, somebody's supposed to be using, like, a futuristic gun, and it literally looks like they duct tape, like, toilet paper tubes together to create it. That just ruins it. Like, I'd rather you just have a prop gun and say that the gun shoots a specialized type of ammo, and do the actual gun firing with special effects in post to make it look semi-futuristic. I'd rather you do that than, have, running around in hockey pads. But, that's just the game. So Paula comes in. She says, before Hulu had people pay for it, I miss those days. Actually, this was when they were still asking people to pay, but they weren't as aggressive. They weren't as aggressive as they are now. Which automatically shoots me off into this idea. Like, Disney Plus, they're making a lot of great moves. Setting up to be a competitor. We all know that they have the content to make, they done bought everything now. So I'm sure they have the content to actually crush as a streaming service. But I just want to hark on one thing, and I know I've talked about it before, but I feel like I have to keep saying it until they change it. And it really is going to be kind of like the deal breaker for me. And the deal breaker is they've stated that they are going to go with the weekly episodic television model of putting out content. I cannot emphasize enough how horrible this idea is. I just can't. Like, if Netflix has proven anything, and that's if it's proven anything, It's that people want to watch when they want to watch, and they want the content to be available. Bottom line, the way you keep, as they've proven in countless studies in the past, the way you keep people from pirating is through accessibility, and only accessibility negates pirating. It's why iTunes became a big thing. Because of people, instead of having people pay $20 for a shitty pop album that they might like 3 songs off of, they would basically just be able to go to iTunes, pay money for those 3 songs, and move on. Therefore, people would be like, well, you're still losing that $20 in the CD purchase. See, that's money you wouldn't have made. You're counting that as, oh, if they didn't have this type of, if they didn't have this option, then they would have paid us $20. No, they would have pirated your shit. They would have pirated your whole album. Because as the model became in the early 2000s, where everybody was putting out that one banger and then the rest of the album was jack shit, people got tired of it and people stopped buying it. If you remember old stores like Suncoast, if you remember those days when, like, basically, or not Suncoast, what was it? Was it Suncoast? I think it was Suncoast, where basically it became a graveyard when CDs started going out of style, and people got tired of buying and spending $20+ for a CD to get one song. And then pirating became the thing. And then pirating got diminished a little bit by the fact that things started being made more accessible. And that's what led to the blow up of iTunes. Well, Netflix, the thing that makes it great is that when they bring out a show, there's no TV model where if the first 3 episodes of the show don't bring gangbusters, you might end up watching a show that's going to be canceled. And then what's the point? You just watched 4 episodes week to week, and the next week you come back and the bitch has been canceled. And they might air the episodes sometime when they feel like it, but that's not how people watch TV anymore. It's not. Like, people just don't. You sit down on the weekends when you have time, when you're an adult, and you don't want to go out and mingle with people because you're old enough to know that that's a recipe for trouble and aggravation. You just want to sit down and enjoy watching something. You turn on what, Mindhunter or whatever the hell you're watching on Netflix, and you crush like 8 episodes of it all at once. Unfortunately, that's how most people watch TV. And I say unfortunately as in for Disney, that's unfortunate, because I honestly am sitting back wondering if there's any other way I can get the shows. Because I don't want to go week to week. That's not how, I mean, and let's not get this wrong. Like, they're planning on releasing The Mandalorian week to week. And I know somebody's going to come around and say it. I know somebody's going to be like, well, they're doing that to keep people actually, subscribe to the service. So what you're saying, like, to me, that sounds like shitty business practice. That's what it sounds like to me. Because what you're basically saying is you're diminishing the enjoyment of your viewage in the hopes of extracting more money, when it's proven time and time again through multiple mediums that pleasing the audience is what keeps them engaged. Now, of course, we don't have any of that on here at Mighty Vicious. No, I'm just looking. But it's basically providing a solid product that actually... All right, man. Catch you later. Fuzzy Panda coming in hot with the disagreeing points. I love it. I love it. See, I think, because, I mean, what it comes down to is to get around, because HBO tried this. Now, mind you, HBO made a lot of money. HBO made a lot of money by Game of Thrones milking it out. Not far enough, if, as far as episode count, if you count that last season. But they were like, yeah, we're going to put it out week to week and keep this week to week thing going. But they started on TV, so I could kind of understand it. But they were also trying to keep people in to subscribing to HBO Go or whatever. But, I mean, what I saw from the opposite side of the internet was people created entire websites around streaming Game of Thrones so that people wouldn't have to pay for HBO Go, because in my opinion, that's the only reason to actually have HBO was Game of Thrones. Just like it's about to be the only reason to really have it. Like, they have their flagships, their Game of Thrones, their however many months you have to wait in between, maybe a year, till you get Westworld. And then, they're about to have Watchmen. So it'll be Watchmen and Westworld. But it's like, you can get everything else they have somewhere else, in my opinion. But here we go. Fuzzy Panda. In my opinion, I don't mind it being week to week. That's how I enjoy anime. They have multiple IPs that they can air and spread throughout the week. They have multiple. Okay. If they aired all their stuff on the same day, that's an. Wait a minute. If they aired all their stuff on the same day, that's understandable. See, and that's personally why I feel like Disney Plus can actually do the all at once for their big shows. Because if you look at all the stuff, that Disney, like their full catalog, think of the full catalog Disney now owns. Not only Disney, but Pixar. And then not only Pixar, but Fox. They go all the things. Like, just think of all the movies, all of the content. Like, basically, to me, I guess, it should be, you give me your Prime Nunu. Then once we get past that Prime Nunu, I can fall back on what other content you have and are producing. If they were only doing one show, maybe spread it out, but they have tons of content. And God knows, when you have to wait week to week, things get forgotten about. We live in the age where there's something new every other day. There's a new series every other day. And Netflix gets to capitalize on that by going, hey, why don't you just take your weekend and watch this show? Whereas, a perfect example is the Preacher television show, the Legion television show, there was another one, Into the Badlands. All of these shows are shows that I started watching with utmost hype. I loved it. Around the middle of the first season of Preacher, they took like a week off or something. And in that week off, I completely forgot about the whole show. And this was something I was hyped for. There was just so much other shit that I was watching that I couldn't come back to it. Like, eventually, I came back and finished the first season. But then I had to wait to the second season. And in that wait, and this is the same story for both Legion and Into the Badlands and Preacher. All those movies or all those shows got lost in the mix because I had to wait so long for them to get to the point. And not get to the point story-wise. All of them are fantastic shows. Don't take this wrong. All of those shows that I've listed, to me, are fantastic shows that deserve high viewage, even though Into the Badlands is now canceled. But basically, by me having to wait a week and then getting caught up in other things that I could watch unabated, they got left behind. I'm still trying to catch up on Preacher. I'm at the beginning of season 2. I'm halfway through Legion season 2. And God knows when the actual last episodes of Into the Badlands are going to air, or if they aired, I haven't heard about it. So I just completely left it behind. So I don't know. Like, maybe you're right, Fuzz. Maybe it's not that big of a problem. But I think a lot of shows in the past would have been saved by the format of letting it all out at once. Fox is notorious for canceling things for not getting the viewage that they wanted it to have. And I would wager that all of that was based off of the fact that not only was Fox trash, and they did horrible things like airing episodes out of order in order to try to make the show seem more eventful in their eyes to what they thought was going to play better, which is horrible. But there was that show like Almost Human with, not Almost Human. Was it called Almost Human? With Carl Urban, where he had the bionic partner or whatever, the cyborg partner, something like that. That show was great, but they aired it out of order, and the fact that people weren't watching because its time slot was awful made it seem like nobody loved that movie or loved that show. But then it got canceled, and people came out of the woodwork just going apeshit. It's like, why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting more of this show? It was obviously good, other than the fact that you played episode, like the end of the season, as the third episode for some reason. Fuzzy, I get what you mean, but honestly, there's the other side of the coin. When they give me everything, I end up binging it all, and then I'm like, what do I watch now? Because everything else I see is rubbish, and I have nothing to watch. I'm going to tell you right now, to combat that side of the coin, unless you're more picky than me, which I think is impossible because, I mean, even all my co-hosts say that I'm just unpleasable. There's always something else to watch. Always. That's the main point I was trying to just make. Is that there's always something else. It's just whether or not you'll click it. Like, there's tons of things right now on Netflix. Like I said, they don't market things the way they should. I can call a spade a spade. Sometimes they cannibalize their own shows with smaller and bigger releases, but there's always something to watch. Always. And when you have the ability to binge format things, you actually can set up what you're going to watch instead of saying, well, I'm going to get this one episode here and I'm going to get this one episode here. Oops, I got to do something tonight. Can't catch the episode then. Oh, then I got to go do this. I can't watch that. And then it just falls away. That's just, it's what happens. That's why I keep running into people all the time talking about how they started things and never got to finish. But, and this is the thing, multiple shows, I don't think multiple shows are going to be airing on Disney Plus at the same time. Like, The Mandalorian is fully filmed. It's complete. They're actually looking at starting filming the second season already. So, if you have all of The Mandalorian, then give the people all of The Mandalorian. I'm really excited for that show. I really want to watch. But if I have to wait week to week to watch it, I don't know. I may get to it eventually. Eventually. I mean, really, their price point is the only thing that makes it even an argument. Because if they were charging like $10, which I still think is very much reasonable, if they weren't starting out with their promotional $6 or something, if I have to wait, then I'll go crush other things. And then I'll come back when I can sit down and watch the entire show. Or I'll rely on some of my friends and just get your show another way. I'm sorry. That's just how it works. Like, I'm not, like, the TV format is why TV is dying. That's just the bottom line. There is no argument on that. TV and the cord cutting culture, it's why they call it a cord cutting culture, they are losing money drastically, which is why all of them are trying to have their own streaming services, and they all fail because they need to just go ahead and give it to Netflix. But let me catch up. Let me see here. I think the way I see it is that I have a certain mentality where if I binge watch something, I burn myself out, and when I want to watch something else, I just don't feel it. But when the stuff is spaced out, it's easier to digest. Maybe that's so. I mean, different strokes, different folks. And I started out this podcast by saying, you know, some things aren't, like, everything's not for everybody. But for me, if you make something and I'm excited for it, I want to be able to consume it. I want to be able to partake in all of its pleasures. Because if you stretch it out, you're just ruining it, is my opinion. Because it's a story I always tell, but it goes back to Lost. I didn't watch Lost until the last season was about to air. I crushed almost all but the last season in the weeks in the weeks leading up to the release of the last season. And when I was watching it, I was remembering all the stuff I had heard about how upset people were about how the pacing was and how people didn't like the second season because it wasn't right and blah, 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 blah. Do you want to know? I've always said this. I think the whole reason people have the view of Lost that they have is simply because they had to wait week to week. Because when I watched it, all those things, all that built up anticipation that people were having week to week at my job, losing their brains over what could possibly happen the following week, I didn't have that anticipation. I just watched. And when I watched, I got to watch all the way through. I got my answers. I got everything I needed. And I got it in a fashion that was good for me. And then I watched the last season on television and I was like, all right, good. But all those people that had to wait year after year, month after month, week after week, I understand why they hated Lost. I understand why all that anticipation didn't build up to what they thought it was going to build up to or please them in the way that they were going to be wanted to be pleased. And it's, in my opinion, completely because they had to wait. Because they waited for so long that the loftiness of what they wanted outshined what the actual show was going to be. So, yeah, that's just my viewpoint on it, I guess. Fuzzy, he says, I see where you're coming from. I agree that if they have everything done, give us it all. Yeah. Now, if they were still filming it as in pure TV mode, okay. I see a reason. You're not finished yet. You're still doing stuff. You need more time. Cool. I'm good with that. That makes sense. But if you have the whole thing shot and you're already about to start filming the second season of the damn show, just give me the first season. Just give it to me. All at once. Let me crush it and sing your praises on the internet. Instead of making me go week to week and going, well, this episode was kind of good. I mean, the way that they went about telling me just 1/25 of the story, it was fine. But I mean, wait till next week. I'm sure it's going to be even better. I mean, come on. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to watch it, give my opinion on it, and before something else has the ability to fucking come in and make me stop watching it just because of conflict of timing, scheduling, and real life, whatever, just let me consume your media. And what has it been proven? It's been proven. Accessibility negates pirating. Do it. Fuzzy, they should have some sort of hybrid system. That automatically makes me think that whoever had a hybrid system would be doing too much. But I believe DC streaming service has a hybrid system, because I believe when they first started airing all of their shows, they would put out like 3 episodes at once, like 2 or 3 episodes at once, and then they would just keep doing that, like releasing in chunks. And I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do that, just give me the whole thing. If it's completed, if it's done, if you're not in fact still filming the season, then give me what you have. Because it's, in my opinion, it's like making someone focus on the small picture. It's making someone not see the bigger picture. When they're suckling at the teat, they're going to judge you more harshly. That's my opinion. Because they're going to go off of every single little thing you show them and extrapolate it out into whatever new theory they're going to go off of. And then when you don't live up to that, you're immediately failing. Don't give them time to do it. Give out your full, complete vision so that they can judge the vision as a whole. That's my 2 cents. But a hybrid system, it feels like that's doing too much, but maybe you're right. Maybe that is the way it should be. Maybe that's something that can be introduced. I'm an all or nothing guy. Like that's just how I am. And when you make me adhere to your schedule, that's when it starts to create problems for me. I don't like adhering to a schedule. Like when I have time, that's when I want what I want to consume to be available to me. Part-time. What's going on, my dude? Thank you for stopping through. We are almost done. We're almost three minutes out. 3 minutes out. And I'm not gonna lie, Fuzzy, it even bothers me. It even bothers me in anime. Like I much more prefer going to Netflix, seeing that a whole season of an anime is up, and crushing it. Even on Amazon with things like Land of Lustrous and Made in Abyss. If those shows were episodic and I had to come back week to week to Amazon to watch them, I wouldn't. Simple as that. And those are two of the greatest new animes currently available, in my opinion. So, we'll see. The internet's cutting out again. Hey, it bees like that. It bees like that. What we should be talking about is why can't they give me all of my internet? Why are they throttling my internet? That's what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying they need it. Why can't these companies give me all of my internet? Why am I paying for certain things and I don't see my KBs and my bit rates being right? That's what I'm talking about. But we'll talk about those companies another day. Another day. I'm gonna try to do something here. Part-time, how have you been doing? What are you up to today, man? Let me see if I can do this. And turn off that media source. Work. Always work. I mean, I get you. I get you. So, all right. Oh, that's not going to work. Yep. There we go. That's what happens when it all goes to shit. So, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and end here. I'm sure part-time has something to say to me. Something that no, I was just thinking when it all goes. I wanted to do it as the outro, but I had placed it as the intro in the beginning of the stream, and I didn't do it beforehand. Like I said at the beginning, all types of things are going up and wrong and all over the place during this during setting up for today. For some reason, everything went wrong. But I would say a good example would be like giving us all of One Punch Man, as the show would be good to have all at once. But certain shows would and play off the week by week, such as Kanata no... Okay. That's interesting. That is interesting. You know what? We may have to talk about this more. I'm going to think on that. So it's just like depending on the, what would you say? Depending on the gravitas of the show? I mean, it's Kanata no Astra. That's Black Clover, isn't it? Or am I just, I don't know. All I know is Black Clover. Yeah, I understand if you don't give me the 50 episodes of Black Clover's season in one go. I understand, okay? I understand that. But if your show is pushing like 10, 12 episodes, just give it to me all at once. Just don't tickle my tits with that shit. Just give it to me. Like unabated. Just give it to me. But yeah, that's an interesting no, and it can't be Black Clover. Unless Black Clover is just a super Americanized name that doesn't go off of the actual thing. It just made me think Black Clover because of Astra. But anyway. So, anyway, that's going to be the end of the Audible Brunch podcast episode. I know we jumped around quite a lot today, but I appreciated everybody coming in and joining us. One up to Paula, who came through, Fuzzy Panda, part-time, Yo Lumi, who also dropped by and gave a few things. I appreciate you all. Thank you for joining. Peace out.